Hello, it's me. I'm Hannah. I brought the Adult Bible Study Guide, the guidebook, the 2023. The second quarter, uh, uh, quarter of 2023 booklets. The title is The Three Cosmic Messages. It has actually 13 lessons. I'm gonna read the lesson 6. Yeah, first, the weather is so beautiful weather, but here is the so fragrance, so sweet and beautiful fragrance, and there are similar the freesia. The flowers shape is different. This one is the iris. It will blossom maybe tomorrow, and here is the same prayer. Yeah, I want to share with you, and then I want to uh, uh, the smell the naturally automatically I can smell the prayer smell and see this. Yeah, iris together. Yeah, lesson 6. The hour of his judgment. Read for this week's study Daniel 8, Daniel 9, Ezra 7, Matthew 3, 17, 3, chapter 3, verse 13 through 17, and Romans 5, 6 through 9, Mark 15, 38, Leviticus 16, 16. Memory text comes from the Romans 13, 11 and 12. And do this, knowing the time that now it is a high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Several years ago, National Geographic magazine described the forest fire in Yellowstone National Park in the United States. After it ended, the forest rangers trekked up a mountain to assess the damage. One ranger found the bird literally burned to ashes at the base of a tree. Somewhat sickened by the eerie sight, eerie sight, he knocked over the bird with a stick. When he struck it, 3 tiny baby birds scurried from under their dead mother's wings. The loving mother, keenly aware of impending disaster, had carried her offspring to the base of the tree and had gathered them under her wings. She could have flown to safety, but had refused to abandon her babies. What a picture of the believer who is safe in Christ. Amen. The fires of God's judgment burned themselves out on him at Calvary, and all who are in Christ are safe forever beneath his wings. At the cross, Christ was judged as a condemned sinner so that we could be judged as righteous citizens of the heavenly kingdom. He was judged as a criminal so that we could be set free from the destructive fires of eternal loss, both figuratively and yes, literally as well. Sunday, the cleansing of the sanctuary. As we have already seen, there must be a judgment before Christ comes. The angel announces in a loud voice that the hour of his judgment has come. Revelation 14:7. The book of Daniel gives us the time when this judgment begins. Read Daniel 8:14. What specific timetable does Daniel give us regarding the cleansing of the sanctuary? Each Jew clearly understood the meaning of the cleansing of the earthly sanctuary. It occurred on the Day of Atonement, which was the Day of Judgment. Although Daniel understood the concept of the cleansing of the sanctuary and the judgment, he was confused about the 2,300 days. Read Daniel 8:27 and Daniel 9:21-22. What was Daniel's response to the vision of the 2,300 days, and what was God's response to him? At the end of Daniel 8, Daniel fainted and later exclaimed, "I was astonished by the vision, but no one understood it." Daniel 8:27. That is the vision of the 2,300 days. The rest of the vision already had been explained. See Daniel 8:19-22. The next chapter, Daniel 9, records the angel Gabriel coming to explain to Daniel the 2,300 day prophecy. "O Daniel, I have now come forth to give you skill to understand." Daniel 9:22. Gabriel amazes Daniel as he reveals an answer to his prayer much broader than he ever imagined. The angel Gabriel took Daniel down the stream of time and revealed the truth about the coming Messiah, giving the exact days of the beginning of his ministry and his cruel death. Events that tied directly to the cleansing of the sanctuary in Daniel 8. In other words, Christ's death and judgment are inseparably linked. Why is it significant that the death of Jesus, as revealed in Daniel 9:24-27, is directly linked to the judgment in Daniel 8:14? What great truth is taught here by this link? Monday, the 2,300 days and the end time. Read Daniel 8:17 and 19 and 26. What time period does the angel declare that the vision of Daniel 8 and the 2,300 days apply to, and why is that important to understand? Some argue that the 2,300 days are literal days. They also believe that this little horn of Daniel 8 applies to the Seleucid military leader Antiochus Epiphanes, 216 BC through 164 BC, who attacked Jerusalem and defied the Jewish people. Even though 2,300 days does not fit even his time frame, this interpretation, however, is contrary to the angel's clear instruction that the vision applies to the time of the end. Antiochus Epiphanes certainly did not live at the time of the end. In Daniel 8, there are birds are singing and the smells are so sweet, beautiful. In Daniel 8, Gabriel begins his explanation of the 2,300 day prophecy. He names the ram as representing Media, Persia, and the male goat as representing Greece. Daniel 8:20 and 21, though not named as are the two powers before it. The next entity, the little horn, is obviously Rome. Daniel 8:9 and 23 and 24. He then depicts a kind of religio political phase of Rome, which would cast down the truth to the ground. Daniel 8:10-12 and 25, and interfere with Christ's heavenly ministry. Daniel 8:10-12, the cleansing of the sanctuary in Daniel 8:14. The climax of the chapter is God's answer to the challenge of earthly and religious powers that have attempted to usurp the authority of God. It is part of God's divine solution to the sin problem. Gabriel is ready to explain the details in God's prophetic timetable. At the end of Daniel 8, we can clearly see that Daniel did not understand the part of the vision about the 2,300 days. Daniel 8:27, the earlier part about the ram, the goat, and the little horn had all been explained, even with the first two powers outright identified by name. Daniel 8:20 and 21. The cleansing of the sanctuary was, however, not explained. The angel Gabriel, who appeared in Daniel 8, appears now in Daniel 9 and says to him, "At the beginning of your supplications, the command went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore, consider the matter and understand the vision." Daniel 9:23. What vision? As we will see tomorrow, it is the vision of the 2,300 days. The only part of the previous vision in Daniel 8 that he hadn't explained yet to Daniel. The Gabriel called Daniel greatly beloved. What does this tell us about the intimate link between heaven and earth? Tuesday, the angel's instruction to Daniel. Read Daniel 9:23. What specific instruction does the angel give to Daniel? Why is this significant in understanding the meaning of the cleansing of the sanctuary in Daniel 8:14? The angel plainly instructed Daniel to consider the matter and understand the vision. Daniel 9:23. What matter and what vision? Because there is no vision recorded in Daniel 9, the angel Gabriel must be speaking of the portion of the vision in Daniel 8 that the prophet did not understand. The vision of the 2,100 days, Daniel 8:27. Gabriel continues in Daniel 9:24-27. What events in the life and the ministry of Jesus is this about? The first portion of this prophecy relates to God's people, the Jews. 70 weeks are determined for your people, the Jewish nation, Daniel 9:24. In Bible prophecy, one prophetic day equals one literal prophetic year. Ezekiel 4:6, Numbers 14:34. In Daniel and Revelation, when you have symbolic imagery, you usually have a symbolic time prophecy as well. One of the ways we can be certain that the day-year principle of prophecy applies here is that when we use it in Daniel's prophecy, each event on the timeline comes out perfectly. See tomorrow's study. If we apply this principle, 70 weeks are composed of 490 days. Since one prophetic day equals one literal year, 490 days are 490 literal years. Gabriel tells Daniel that 490 years are cut off. The literal meaning of the Hebrew word chetak, sometimes translated determined, determined. Cut off from what? It only could be the other time prophecy alluded to here. The 2,300 days of Daniel 8:14. These 490 years, which are a time prophecy, are directly linked back to the time prophecy of Daniel 8:14. The only part of the vision left unexplained in Daniel 8 and the only time prophecy in Daniel 8 as well. Thus, we can see that Gabriel with this prophecy is coming to help Daniel understand what he didn't understand in the previous chapter, the 2,300 days. Wednesday, the Messiah cut off. Gabriel began the explanation of the 490-year prophecy with an event that was extremely important to Daniel and to the Jews, the command to restore and build Jerusalem. Though various decrees had been passed regarding Jerusalem in Ezra 7, we discover that the decree passed in 457 BC allowed the Jews not only to return to their homeland but also to establish themselves as a religious community. See Ezra 7:13 and 27. It is significant to note that Artaxerxes' decree was issued in the autumn of 457 BC. From this decree in 457 BC to the Messiah, according to Daniel, would be 69 weeks or 483 years. If we begin at 457 BC and move forward on history's timeline, we arrive at AD 27. The word Messiah means the anointed one. In AD 27, Jesus Christ, the Messiah, was baptized. See Matthew 3:13 through 17. Daniel predicted hundreds of years in advance the exact year for the baptism of Christ, the time at which Jesus would begin his 3.5 years of ministry. Read Romans 5:6-9 along with Daniel 9:26. What great truths are revealed here. And after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. Daniel 9:26. The Messiah would be cut off or crucified. The verse as, but not for himself. In other words, the death of Christ on Calvary's cross was for us, not for himself, which is why Paul could write, but God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. If the birds are coming high over my head, they just, pee-pee-poo-poo like that. These prophecies reveal that Christ, the Messiah, would be in Daniel. In Daniel 9:27, we read that in the middle of the week, the last 7 years, Christ would bring an end to sacrifice and offering. In the middle of this seventh week in AD 31, Christ confirmed the everlasting covenant with his blood by dying on the cross, and the sacrificial system lost any and all prophetic significance. These prophecies reveal that Christ, the Messiah, would be Christ crucified and cause the sacrificial system to cease its prophetic importance in the spring of AD 31. These predictions were fulfilled in every detail exactly at Passover, when the high priest was offering the Passover lamb. Christ was sacrificed for us. With what has been written above in mind, read Mark 15:38 and Matthew 3:15 and 16. How do these verses help us understand the prophecy of Daniel 9:24 through 27? There are Thursday, the year 1844. The first 490 years of the 2300-year prophecy were designated especially for the Jewish nation of antiquity and the coming of the Messiah. The last part of the 2300 years has to do with God's people, both Jew and Gentile, along with the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary and ultimately the second coming of Christ. The first 490 years applied to the first advent of the Messiah and ended in AD 34. Subtracting 490 years from 2,300 years leaves us with 1,810 years. The next 1,810 years apply to God's people. If we begin at AD 34 and we add 1,810 years, we come to AD 1844. In the light of the cleansing or the restoration of the truth about the sanctuary and the heavens and time judgment, God makes his final appeal to all humanity in Revelation 14:6 and 7 to respond to his love, accept his grace, and live godly, obedient lives. Read Leviticus 16:16. What was the reason for the cleansing of the sanctuary, and what does this teach us about the gospel? Because of the people's sins, the people's iniquities, the sanctuary had to be cleansed, which happened only with the blood of animals. It's the same with us. We need a Savior whose life is symbolized by the animals slain on the Day of Atonement as the only way to make it through the judgment. Read Leviticus 23:26 through 29. What did God command his people to do on that day of judgment, and what should that mean for us today? The Israelites were to afflict their souls. This expression indicates that they were to humble themselves and examine their hearts, confess their sins, repent, and ask God to cleanse them as the high priest was cleansing the earthly sanctuary. The prophetic chapters of Daniel 7 through 9 and Revelation 14 focus especially on the judgment hour. Urgent appears to prepare. Since 1844, we have been living in the judgment hour, and Revelation's message of the first angel proclaims the hour of his judgment has come. Revelation 14:7. How then do we today afflict our souls? Afflict our souls? Afflict our souls? Because already his judgment has come, the hour. Friday, further thought. Here's a quick and easy way to look at the 70-week prophecy of Daniel 9:24 through 27. First, there are the 70 weeks, Daniel 9:24. Next, there are the 7 weeks and 26 weeks or 69 weeks, Daniel 9:25 of the 70 weeks. There's the last week, the 70th, Daniel 9:27. And finally, that last week is divided In the middle of the week, Daniel 9:27 into 2 3.5 year sections. That's it. 70 weeks, which are composed of 69 weeks and 1 week, and that 1 week is divided in half. Just plug in the date 457 BC at the beginning, and with a simple math, yes, we come to 1844 on the timeline. Also, in describing the 2,300 days, Daniel 8 never said when the 2,300 days began. Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Daniel 8:14 unto 2,300 days. From what time? Why not from the time when Daniel had the vision itself? The 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, Daniel 8:1. Oh, that doesn't work. The vision in Daniel 8 didn't include Babylon. It started with kingdoms after it. Example, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome up to the end. Why date an event? The cleansing of the sanctuary, which is in the vision, from an event, the reign of the kingdom of Babylon, which is not. The starting date for the climax of the division should come from within the vision itself, which started with Media, Persia, and extend to the end. That's a lot of years. Persia and extends to the end. That's a lot of years. Which one began it? We are not told in Daniel 8. We are told in Daniel 9. Yeah, there are 3 discussion questions. 1. In class, discuss the close relationship between the gospel and judgment as seen in these 2 parts of what is really one prophecy. Why is the link between the 2 such good news for us? How should this link help alleviate the fear that many have had regarding the idea of judgment? 2. Dwell more on the truth revealed in Daniel 9:26, that the Messiah was cut off, but not for himself. What is this about? For whom was he cut off, and why? Number 3, read again Leviticus 16 and Leviticus 23, 26 through 29. Talk about the reason for the cleansing of the sanctuary. Leviticus 16:16, and how the people were supposed to act when it happened. Leviticus 23, 26 through 29. What is the relationship between what happened then and what it should mean for us today? Yeah, thank you. It is so good. Yeah, so beautiful. And so beautiful. This one will be maybe tomorrow or 2 days after. It's gonna be blossom somewhere, and then it has fragrance also, and the Phrygia still gives me a so sweet fragrance. Inside story: Ukraine Miracle by Andrew McChenney. 10-year-old Anas struggled in his classes amid an ongoing torrent of bullying in public school in Odessa, Ukraine. His skin was darker than the other children's, and his classmates made fun of him. He lived with his Ukrainian grandmother after being left at her home by his mother, a former Seventh-day Adventist. His father wasn't a Christian and lived far away in Iran. Grandmother didn't like the way that Anas was being treated at school. Upset over the bullying, she finally transferred the boy to the local Seventh-day Adventist school. At first, Anas was withdrawn and spoke little, but he loved the Bible classes so much that he tried to remember the teacher's words by whispering them as he heard them in the classroom. As the days and the weeks passed, he began to open up. The other children enjoyed his wit, and he soon became the class clown. He received his very own Bible. His mother was furious when she learned that Enos was attending the Adventist school, and she took him away from grandmother to live with her. She refused to speak with grandmother, and she taught Enos at home. Grandmother prayed for God to intervene. She prayed every day for a year. After some time, mother began speaking to her again. They became friends again. One day, mother agreed to grandmother's suggestion to meet with an Adventist pastor. Enos listened in on their conversation, and he learned to his surprise that three of his friends from the Adventist school were going to be baptized. I also want to be baptized, he exclaimed. Mother was surprised. The pastor was surprised. They asked Anna some questions. It turned out that he had been studying his Bible on his own during the year that he had been living with mother. More than anything, he wanted to be baptized. His fervent desire to give his life to Jesus touched mother's heart. She gave her consent. She gave her consent. 2 weeks later, mother and grandmother watched as the 11-year-old boy was baptized with his three friends from the Adventist school. Wow, like Daniel's three friends. It was a miracle facilitated by God, and Adventist education, said Ivan Lyapolov, pictured education director for the Eurasia division, whose territory includes Ukraine. There was not only a reconciliation of the family, but also a reconciliation with God. He said, "Thank you for your Sabbath school mission offerings that support Seventh-day Adventist education around the world." This provided by the General Conference Office of Adventist Mission, which uses Sabbath school mission offerings to spread the gospel worldwide. Read news stories daily at AdventistMission.org. He is Ivan Lyapolov. Yes, thank you. And I smelled the so sweet fragrance from the preacher, and heard the singing birds, so to make the noise to you. I wonder it just go. My voice still clean to hear you, and let hear you. And there are the plum flowers so blossoming and over. Thank you. Oh, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Wow, this is so. We need to repeat after to read, or to just hear this message, the hour of his judgment. This is like the cleansing of the sanctuary, and then the end time of the 2,300 days and years, the prophecy to the end time, the angel's instruction to Daniel, and the Messiah cut off for us, and the year 1844, the cleansing the sanctuary, the for the earth, and it will be started to the serve for the heavenly sanctuary as a high priest. Jesus will be is in the heavenly sanctuary. And next, lesson 7, worshiping the Creator. Yeah, so thank you. 35 minutes. Yeah. May God bless all of you.